Join us for the very first IFL Live at London's Indigo at the O2, Sunday, August the 13th, with me, Kugan Cassius, and some very special guests. Eddie Hearn, Darren Barker, Johnny Fisher and more. Tickets now on sale. So in the words of Eddie Hearn,
you get up, you dress up, and you fucking show up.
This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm at the actual residency of Gareth A Davies today, aren't I? What?
It's one of the. Have I got my own microphone today?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Talk Sport. This is the celeb chair where we take photos. Sponsored by Diet Coke and Views.
Sponsored by Views.
Well, VIEWS VUSE. Shouldn't have smoked then. But yeah, here at Talk Sport, where I am a couple of times a week for different shows. Great to see you here, Umar. There's even a punch machine behind you that's been installed.
There is.
By the way. So
could get Joyce on that later, to be fair.
Definitely going to get Joe Joyce on it later, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about why we're actually here. Zhang Joyce 2 is on, live on TNT Sports, the new BT Sports, Wembley Arena. Do you think it's a correct decision for Joe to go immediately into this rematch?
You almost leant in with your microphone then, not realising I've got my own, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a fight he had to take to get back into the mix. I think Frank Warren Queensbury have got a deal with Zhilei Zhang as well. He's not here today. I think he's in by video link. Weirdly, Zhilei Zhang, after his performance against Joe Joyce, I think a lot of us wanted to see him in with Tyson Fury next. But obviously they're doing the rematch fight. Joe's really got to make some changes. He's about to go to camp in Las Vegas. He's got to have more head movement. For me, he's got to start faster, and he's not a fast starter by any means. And he's got to get into the fight earlier, use more footwork, move in different directions. He was open for that left hand, and his eye was closed after 4 rounds in the first fight. From memory, I think Zhang took the 5th round off and had a good look at him. Joe won the 5th. And then he was stopped by the end of the 6th, wasn't he? So,
what about the weight for Joe?
Yeah, the weight's one thing, but Joe says when he trains in Vegas, he finds it hard to drop weight. And he does eat loads. Yes, he could put a little bit more weight on, but he looks in great shape. Maybe he will put a bit more weight on for this, but what I'm concerned about for Joe is he's now got to do things to worry about Zhilei Zhang, whereas all he was worried about in the first fight was his own game. He's got to make adjustments. It's a redemption fight for him, but it's a cul-de-sac if he loses this contest as well, Umar. It's a very dangerous fight for him, for his career. He's got to win this. It's the same situation in many ways if Anthony Joshua fights Dillian Whyte. If Joshua loses to Whyte, do people want to see Joshua against Wilder? Probably not. If Joe Joyce loses to Zhilei Zhang again, he's got to really rebuild. He's taking this fight because there's jeopardy in it, but there's also a high risk and a high reward. He wants the reward from it. If he can beat Zhang, he gets back in to that mandatory position with the WBO, doesn't he?
Sorry to just move off of
that.
On. We're in Talk Sport, so it's quite appropriate. There's some news. So this is from Frank Warren just now, who's in the other room as we speak. Tyson Fury will not be fighting Alexander Usyk in December in Saudi Arabia. That's what Frank Warren said. He said the Saudis may postpone their plans to January.
He told me that as well.
Fury is pressing ahead with a fight in the UK in October. Frank hopes to make Fury v Dubois for undisputed. That's obviously if Daniel beats Usyk, which would be a big shot. But right, Saudis are looking at January now. Interesting.
Well, they've moved things because Fury's now going to fight in October. They obviously want Fury involved, but I heard this from George Warren a few weeks ago, that they don't have to go with the Saudi narrative, that they're going to choose the route map for Tyson Fury. He doesn't have to be beholden unto the Saudi plan, the Saudi program. And they're probably right to think like that. Originally, the Saudis were promoting events or having events. Now they are promoters. They're signing fighters up. They've signed Wilder. They've signed Alexander Usyk.
Is that done, the Wilder thing?
Well, apparently they've signed Deontay Wilder. I say apparently. We know that they've signed Alexander Usyk. That was made public a couple of weeks back. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me it's not going to happen this year. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed. The Saudis will not make contractual offers until these guys are fought in the summer. Are we even going to see Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte? It doesn't look that likely, although we've heard this morning that they've withdrawn the rematch clause from that contract. Hopefully Dillian Whyte now signs it.
Yeah.
You know, Frank told me just before I sat down with you that the Saudis are moving that big undisputed fight to 2024, first quarter of 2024. So Alexander Usyk is probably going to fight another. Could be the winner of Joyce and Zhang, or it could be Flip Hrgovic, couldn't it? After Daniel Dubois, if he beats Daniel Dubois.
Well, I don't know, if they're looking to go in January still with Fury Usyk, then
There maybe isn't time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I want to go back to your point just to close off, because the press conference, I want to go back in for that, just
Yep,
to
yep.
close off about, you know, you spoke to George Warren and he said,
Yep.
we don't have to go with the Saudi narrative. Is that because they're thinking, if Usyk can't land the Fury fight, where does he really go in terms of a big
what
fight?
they're thinking is they've been in talks again and again and again and again, but there's no concrete offer on the table. There's no actual contract. There's no actual figures on the table. And they can't sit and wait for someone else's narrative. I think we'd all like to have basically seen Usyk and Fury fight at Wembley Stadium in April, the end of April. That would have been the time for it, really. And as we say, week after week after week, slowly the pieces are moving now. Slowly decisions are being made. It will all pan out in the end, but there are a lot of wrinkles to iron out. Hopefully, Frank's saying we'll get the Fury announcement back end of next week or the week after. They say it's going to be impressive. I think it'll be interesting rather than impressive. I don't know the exact opponent. Is it a Bacoli? Is it Francis Ngannou? I can't see who else it will be from that list. Could it be a Frank Sanchez? Could it be a Jarrell Miller? We just don't know. They're very, very tight-lipped about it at the moment, and that's unusual. And normally I get a good sense, as you do.
Yeah, George and Frank are not telling me anything.
No, nor me.
privately, so
Nor me.
on that,
Nor me.
which is quite weird actually. But normally they do let it on.
Well,
what
because
it
you're a
is.
fanboy of the.
Well,
you're
that's
the
what
few-
you get. That's what you get accused of, isn't it?
I'm not a fanboy, just doing my job like you are, trying to talk to these people to get the information, but they are unusually tight-lipped about it.
Yeah, they're not saying a word on that,
Yeah.
but we'll find out hopefully in a couple of weeks from them. Gareth, appreciate your time and we'll speak soon.
Always a pleasure.
Join us for the very first IFL Live at London's Indigo at the O2, Sunday, August the 13th, with me, Kugan Cassius, and some very special guests. Eddie Hearn, Darren Barker, Johnny Fisher and more. Tickets now on sale. So in the words of Eddie Hearn,
You get up, you dress up, and you fucking show up.